How about that? Let's see what a stupid person is doing after, you know, doing stupid things. And of course, it's for social media. Like always, they're always doing it for social media.
And overall augmentation. This doctor danced and rapped her way through actual surgeries, then got sued by more than a dozen patients, had her medical license ripped away.
She was dancing while operating on people. Oh. Why was she not fired? That's my most important question. I mean, she isn't alone there, you know, operating on people. So why was she not fired? Why didn't anyone call her out on that? Because people were scared of to get fired themselves. Because she's a doctor and has more, is above them in the hierarchy of, you know, the hospital or clinic or whatever.
For good. And instead of, I guess, retiring quietly, no, she picked up a new name and kept doing the exact same things like nothing ever happened.
Wait, what?
For years.
What?
Sometimes stories come across patients, had her medical license ripped away for good, and instead of, I guess, retiring quietly, no, she picked up a new name and kept doing the exact same things like nothing ever happened for years. Sometimes stories come across my desk and I'm like, okay, there's no way this is real. And then I research it and I realize, oh, this is very real. Despite me pinching myself to make sure it's actually real just due to how unbelievably stupid it is. So, hey, I mean, it is safe to say we have quite the video today. So somewhere between 2017 and 2018, back when TikTok was Musical.ly, a video started going around on the internet that at first glance could have only seemed like, I don't know, a skit. Hopefully, because essentially you had a woman in scrubs, scalpel in hand, mid-surgery, fully vibing to various rap songs as she cuts into patients'
Wait, what? Wait, what?
Stomachs.
Why is she not in prison? Why is she not in prison? She needs to be in prison. And also your usual suspects. How can you be this unprofessional? Oh, right, low IQ.
Okay, except as I stated earlier, no, this was absolutely not a skit. This was just Dr. Wendell Davis Boaty, a board-certified dermatologist, running her own cosmetic surgery practice.
Wait, dermatologist? What kinds of operations, what kinds of surgery is she doing? Now I'm actually scared.
Just outside of Atlanta. On paper, I guess her credentials looked pretty solid. She went to UCLA for medical school. She'd been
UCLA. Oh, okay. I would be surprised if she didn't even man. UCLA, Los Angeles. So we don't even know if she can read or write, because that's how bad the schools there are. Why aren't you
practicing for over 20 years, and she ran her own cosmetic surgery practice, doing stuff like liposuction, tummy tucks, and overall augmentations.
Smart Lipo has totally revolutionized the concept of liposuction. It is a simple procedure that is done in office, under local anesthesia, with the patient listening to their iPod, singing along with music, and it's actually an enjoyable experience.
But I guess the problem...
Yeah, every doctor that tells me things like that, I kind of don't trust that. I just want the hard truth. If it's going to hurt, then yeah, it's going to hurt. If it's, yeah, it's whatever. I mean, but maybe I'm just not that much of a pussy.
Started because she also had a hobby that ended up defining her entire career, filming herself dancing and singing directly over patients while they were in mid-procedure. And obviously this is while the patient is probably unaware of what's going on, you know, because they're under anesthesia and they are unconscious. So there's a whole lot of red flags waving when you see that. But yeah, this is one of the 20 videos that she'd been posting to her own public YouTube channel for years, all filmed in the middle of real procedures on
YouTube? And YouTube did allow that? Wow.
patients that she, I guess, used as marketing for her own practice. But in one, she's dancing around with instruments in both hands, leaning over a patient's exposed backside and rapping Migos lyrics. Then in another one, she's cutting into someone's belly in sync with OT Genesis's song, Cut It. We live in some interesting times.
And that's how you know she's low IQ. Because someone that's not low IQ would never even have the idea for that.
Filled with some interesting people. And sometimes I guess her staff...
Or if you had an idea like that, you would go, yeah, that's stupid. It's so stupid. Funny, but so stupid. Yeah, no, I'm not gonna do that. But she's stupid enough to do it.
Just got in on the action as well, and they started dancing behind her like they were backup dancers instead of, I don't know, medical staff. And again, to be clear, we're talking...
Okay, so they are all in on it. Okay. Yeah. I mean, they are all women, so let's be... I have to be sexist here. Yeah, that's just women. They don't give a fuck about other people. They only care about how things... if things are good for them. How do I know it? I was surrounded by them for 35 years. That's how.
About real operations on real people who were sedated the whole time. But according to her, patients supposedly agreed to be filmed ahead of time and even picked out the songs, which, I mean, okay, fine. Maybe some of them did, but
sure,
that doesn't really explain the lawsuits that went flying. And I feel like that explanation gets a lot murky.
Oh yeah, they all agreed on it. And then she gets sued. Yeah, they didn't. They didn't agree on that. Who could have guessed?
Here when you realize what was actually going wrong in that operation room while the cameras were rolling. And by the way, she made like 20 different videos with like 20 different patients. So this is just crazy. But essentially this...
I'm just surprised that it's only 20 patients. That's surprising to me. I would have guessed way more. Way more. You know, basically hundreds.
This is where the story stops being funny. So in February of 2016, a woman named Isilma Cornelius.
Let me guess, she died?
She went to see Dr. Bote a few weeks before her wedding. She was also working towards a PhD in nursing at the time and wanted some Botox and a few touch-ups so she would feel good in her dress. But according to court records, once the staff...
Typical woman thing, you know, the stupid one.
Staff realized that she was getting married, they pitched her on more, and she ended up agreeing to a tummy tuck and liposuction package on top of the original plan. And the procedure apparently ran for over 8 hours, and she wasn't even given general anesthesia or intubated. She just got a mix of medicine. And there was allegedly no proper monitoring equipment being used to track her oxygen levels during all of this. And near the end, when Bote was still stitching up the incision, and Silma's heart just stopped. So staff called 911, but by the time paramedics got there, she was, in her attorney's word, essentially gone. And unfortunately, even though they got her breathing again, the damage was already done. She survived, but she came out of it with permanent brain damage and needed a feeding tube and full-time care for the rest of her life. Her son, who was 26 at the time, became her caretaker, and he did that job every single day for 7 years until she passed away from complications related to this injury. So once the Silma's case became public, more patients started coming forward, and by mid-2018, report had counted at least 7 active malpractice lawsuits against Bote, with several more already.
Who could have guessed that the doctor that dances while operating on people for her YouTube channel would be a bad doctor? Who could have guessed that? Who could have guessed that? All right, I could have. Chat, let me know in the comments if you could have guessed that.
Settled. Like, you had 2 sisters, Christine Dolly and Mitzi McFarland. They said they went in for something called smart lipo, a laser-based fat removal method, and instead came out having undergone regular liposuction, which left them both saying they felt very disfigured. Then you have Latoya Rideau, the patient in the Cut It video. She said that she never agreed to be filmed during her February 2017 surgery, and the results left her uneven and in ongoing pain. Imagine being too busy filming social media content for your business, trying to be funny, to actually do your job properly. And not actually take care of your patients. Like, this is just so crazy. But I still feel like...
I told you, she's stupid. She's literally low IQ. That's how this is happening.
It's pretty much all downhill from here. Because something that came up during the reporting in this was a very important detail. Because Beauté's own website advertised her as board certified in both surgery and dermatology.
Let me guess, she isn't? Let's continue.
But apparently, she was only board certified in dermatology. But she was still operating on people and filming music videos? To make things worse, she didn't even have admitting privileges at any hospitals either. And her office itself wasn't a licensed surgical facility. It also came out that the Georgia Medical Board had reportedly received a complaint about her practices as far back as 2016, over 2 years before her license was finally suspended. So in June of 2018, after...
It's even worse than I expected it to be. Oh my god. Let's see. See? Low IQ people. Getting out in the open. Making stupid things. Showing everyone how stupid they are. And then when they are getting caught, they are like, oh my god, what happens? I didn't do anything.
Physician's assistant reportedly called in a separate incident, which was, in this case, a patient hospitalized with a collapsed lung and blood loss following a liposuction, breast augmentation, and BBL combo. The Georgia Composite Medical Board suspended Beauté's license, calling her a threat to public safety. What is wrong with Atlanta at this point? I mean, we've covered so many of these medical scams coming out of Atlanta. You had, you know, all the veneer techs. You had the couple that was doing BBLs in motels, and now this, a dermatologist operating on people in a facility that you can't operate on people in while filming music videos? I'm at loss for words for Atlanta. Yeah. But apparently in an interview at that time, Beauté defended the videos. She said that they were all staged and planned, and the patients, they had picked the songs themselves and told her when to hit certain beats, which is...
That's ridiculous. And also you could just, you know, oh yeah, give us the names and we asked them. They could have done that. But of course she would never do that.
You know, hard to do when you're under anesthesia, but hey, whatever floats the boat. Also, remember the woman in the Cut It video? She claims that she had no idea that this was going to be filmed. So I don't know who's lying here, but I do have a hunch. But she also claims that these videos were just an educational tool.
I'm kind of private. I'm very private. So for me to actually harness a personality for social media and make it where it's a human relationship building and educational, and also to relieve anxiety about cosmetics.
How is it educational? In what form? Yeah, he doesn't believe it. Look at his face. He knows she's talking shit. He knows.
Surgery, because there's a lot of, in my preoperative and consultation visits with my patients, I notice that the biggest thing that comes across is anxiety. Music is such a global language, right? If I tried to educate through just pointing at the computer and saying, here is your muscular anatomy, here's where the muscles separated, this is amount of skin I may cut off or a tummy tuck, people, they didn't quite listen. When I added music to it to educate, all of a sudden, people paid attention.
And apparently she told Rideau something along the lines of being a dancing doctor actually grew her following because apparently people love a dancing doctor. Do you know what kind of doctor I like? A doctor that does their job and is focused on the patient and not filming social media content and actually has all the credentials they say they have. But hey, I guess that apparently is too much to ask for in 2026. That's not a guarantee anymore. But apparently that same year, Beauté formally agreed to a consent order suspending her license for a minimum of 2.5 years with the
No, forever. Oh no. Why only for 2 years? No, she needs to lose her license forever. She's definitely not competent enough to work in the field.
to petition to get it back afterwards. But during that time, the order banned her from using the titles doctor, physician, or MD in Georgia. But there's a pretty big detail that resurfaced a couple years later, because one of the videos in the Cut It one was filmed while Dr. Roland Pinkay was managing Rideau's anesthesia. Because in the video, he's singing and dancing along the background during the actual surgery. Rideau eventually sued him separately, arguing that his behavior during the video was a part of a broader breach of how patients should be treated and respected while unconscious. And this case actually went to trial in Georgia in 2024, and the jury cleared Pinkney of any legal responsibility, deciding his conduct with the anesthesia itself met the required standard of care, even though he admitted on the stand that he regretted being a part of the video. So instead, the jury placed 100% of the fault on Beauté, who wasn't actually a defendant in the particular trial, and essentially awarded Rideau $0 in damages. And while all of this was going down in court, Beauté's financial situation was...
Well, yeah, everyone that's working for her is scared to lose their job. It's very, very simple. And maybe even that, you know, oh yeah, when he say anything, you know, they can't get a job because she's... Oh, they ratted her out, and now the other doctors would think, oh, they would rat me out, but you wouldn't need to worry about that if when the doctors aren't rats, pieces of shit, I mean. So yeah.
Apparently just collapsing behind the scenes. So a DeKalb County judge ordered her to pay $700,000 to her former malpractice insurance company after she allegedly failed to pay the amount that she owed across 28 separate malpractice claims filed under a single policy. 28 malpractice claims. That is crazy. How common is it for doctors to receive malpractice claims? About 1.6% of physicians result in a financial payout or indemnity. I actually don't like those odds. So 16 out of 1,000 goof up. I guess it depends on the field. Ooh, so apparently with surgery, it can go all the way up to 15 to 19%. Oh, these are claim rates. Okay, so this isn't actually a... Wow. Okay. But apparently her former insurance attorney said in 25 years of practicing law, he'd never seen that many claims stacked on one policy. So clearly this was not ideal whatsoever. But she was reportedly served with that lawsuit back in July, but I guess just never responded to it. So it defaulted. She just lost it. Awesome. So at this point, you were probably thinking, okay, that's
just like Frogan. Just like the Frogan. Oh, people are so stupid.
It. Nothing worse could happen, right? Because so far we've covered, you know, a doctor getting exposed, she loses her license, she gets hit with like a ginormous financial judgment, and then she fades into obscurity. Except not quite, because in November of 2024, a news investigation out of Atlanta found that Beauté had rebranded herself completely, and she even changed her name. She was apparently now Catherine Davis, a combination of an actual middle and maiden names, and she's now operating in a new state, Texas. And the new business is Eden Med Spa in Austin, where she's listed online as the owner, touting experience at UCLA, Cedars-Sinai, and Emory. There is some serious audacity here. And of course, all of her new patients are completely unaware of what happened in Atlanta. Because if any of her patients or future patients search up Catherine Davis, nothing connects her to her old identity. No suspended license, no dancing videos, just a complete clean slate. And a producer of this investigation went undercover at the spa for a consultation and secretly recorded the whole thing on a phone. And apparently during this visit, Davis talked about her medical training like any licensed doctor would.
So we sent in our Channel 2 Action News producer to see what Dr. Davis tells patients. We switched off the undercover camera in the exam room. Davis let our producer record the consultation on her phone.
So as a physician, you're trained, okay, what the worst case?
Those glasses. Those glasses. It's the same glasses, the same style of glasses, the haircut and that got fired by Zenimax in our Smug Alana video that we saw. The same glasses. These retarded people are all the same.
scenario.
According to Texas law, it's illegal to advertise or promote yourself as a doctor without a Texas medical license. There's no license listed for her as Catherine Davis or Wendell Boutte. A consent order in Georgia also bars Miss Boutte from using the titles physician, doctor, or MD, but she has been.
And when a reporter later confronted her asking if she knew it was illegal in Texas to advertise yourself as a doctor without a Texas medical license, she didn't really answer. And there was no license on file for her under that name or her old name in any other state.
Do you know it's illegal to advertise yourself as a doctor in Texas without a medical license? Quiet with us, but online, she is dancing again, this time with needles in advertising. Do your patients know you have a suspended license?
Of course.
Do you tell anybody on your consultations about Wendell Boutte?
You know you guys are harassing someone?
That's the other owner of Eden Med Spa, Amber Larson. She seemed surprised when we called Miss Davis Dr. Boutte.
Dr. who?
Dr. Boutte. Her name is Dr. Wendell Boutte.
No, it's not.
Yes, it actually is.
So once that newer story ran,
of course, it's, you know, man, do I say it? Of course it's another woman she's working with. Of course it is. Of course she is. And instead of trying to, you know, oh, what's going on here? What is happening? She's stop harassing her. Of course she is.
things started moving pretty fast. The Spa Zone website started actively scrubbing every reference to Davis as, I guess, owner or doctor. And they were doing this live while the reporters kept refreshing the page and watching the changes happen in real time. And the business itself sent patients an email saying that Davis was dealing with difficulties outside of Eden and wasn't currently doing procedures there anymore. And apparently, by law in Texas, a licensed physician needs to be one of the owners of any medical spa, and reporters couldn't even find an active business license for Eden Med Spa itself.
How is this possible? Oh my god. Oh my, these people are even more retarded than I thought. Why would you do that? Why? Just why? Why would you operate a business without a license? Why? Oh my god, that's so stupid.
On top of everything else. So the whole thing eventually got reported to the Texas Medical Board and Secretary of the state's office. However, though, even after all of this became public, it took a while for existing patients to actually connect the dots here. So in one story that happened in September of last year, a woman named Takeem, who had gone to Davis for a facial thread lift procedure, she said the appointment went wrong almost immediately. Because according to her, Davis reacted to something going wrong mid-procedure by yelling out in shock, which understandably freaked her out even more, because, she's sitting there in the chair, which is, again, more proof that, hey, maybe you should have a license to be doing this. Maybe you should be doing any surgeries as a dermatologist. I don't know, maybe you shouldn't be so soulless and still practice on people when you have no business doing so. I don't.
Yes, but number one, she is low IQ, and number two, she wants the money. She wants the money. And maybe also a little bit of fame because it makes her feel good.
No, though. Just like imagine going in for plastic surgery and your surgeon starts throwing a temper tantrum mid-surgery. That is crazy. I have no idea how anyone should feel during that situation. But Takeem, she says that she was left with jaw problems and visible scarring and ended up spending over $7,000 trying to get it corrected. But the worst part here is she went back to Davis for the fixes because she still didn't know who she actually was.
Why would you do that? Why would you do that in the first place? Man, women are so insecure about themselves. It's incredible. Oh my god, it's so dumb.
Oh, people like this deserve to just get put under a jail. But Boutte responded to that specific report by saying the reporter should go pull the actual medical records if they wanted the full story. But I guess by that point, Eden Med Spa itself had apparently gone under entirely. So according to former customers who'd said they found a notice on the door about unpaid rent, so I guess the whole location just shut down for good. How are you scamming all these people and you still can't afford your rent? This just doesn't make sense. I don't know. I'm just like shocked that she essentially...
Well, you just don't pay it. I mean, what are you going to do? Sue you? You just run with the money. Oh, this is so dumb. Oh, these low IQ people can't even set up something properly and not getting caught.
Got chased out of a whole city and state because of her medical malpractice, and then she just sets up shop in a different state with a new name. But at the time of this video, she doesn't appear to have an active medical license under either name in either state, at least anything that I can find publicly. But hey, considering she's already changed her name once before, I wouldn't be surprised if she has a new name now and she's back to practicing. And the craziest part to the story is there's no real ending here, because despite the media attention and the complaints filed with both the Texas Medical Board and the Secretary of the state's office, there's no public record of any final action behind that. So
yeah, at this point, isn't that a thing against the law, you know? The malpractice and all that stuff, and isn't that fraud and assault, basically? I mean, yes, the people came to you and paid for treatment by you, but you were lying to them, so they couldn't give educated consent to it, and they wouldn't have consented to you operating on them if they had known that you are, you know, have no license and have a history of being, well, bad at what you're doing. I think that woman just needs to go to prison for 30 years.
As far as I can verify, it just gets cold from there. So she was exposed, the spa appears to have shut down, and after that, the story is just unresolved. So right now, we've reopened the case slightly. So if there is any update to Catherine Davis or Wendell Bote, we'll cover it. Because again, like the people in Georgia said, she is literally a risk to the public. But hey, if you're new here, feel free to subscribe and drop a like if you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Peace.
Everything that he said for this video. And if you want to see more of this stupid stuff, subscribe. Oh, and don't forget to give it a like. And let me know how many years should that woman be in prison. I say 30. I think that's fine. See you next time. Bye bye.